The House Workforce Development Financing Committee will come to order.
Oh, you're gonna create, oh, yeah, I know.
Lee Baker, have you had a chance to look over the minutes?
I have, Mr. Chair, and I will make a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
All those in favor of adopting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries, the minutes are approved. First on the agenda this morning is House File 369, 30,000 feet. And we have Representative Athena Hollins along with Mr. Robinson and Mrs. Robinson, who will be presenting the bill. I will move that House File 369 be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. Representative Hollins, please introduce yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Zhang, and thank you, members of the committee. I am extremely excited to be here today and honored to be here representing 30,000 Feet, which is an organization that is right in my neighborhood, literally within walking distance, I want to say 2 blocks away. And it is a phenomenal program that provides after-school care and workforce opportunities for young kids, particularly in the areas of, why can't I think of the word? I'm sorry. Yeah, STEM. I was going to say STEM, technology, and this bill in particular would provide $375,000 a year for 30,000 feet to fund apprenticeship jobs, wraparound services, after-school programming, and summer learning loss prevention efforts targeted at African American youth, but not limited to African American youth. The 30,000 Feet's mission is to advance the success of African American youth and families through culturally responsive tech training, art education, social emotional learning, and African American history and culture. And I believe 30,000 Feet received $250,000 each year of the biennium in the last budget cycle to provide those youth apprenticeship jobs, tech education, and summer and after school support. They also work to connect youth with tech businesses to gain that hands-on experience, and they actually get experience where they are paid for the work that they do. So not only are they benefiting from the learning experience that they have, but they're actually meaningfully contributing to the household income. And so with that, I have several testifiers here who I would like to yield my time to.
Welcome to the committee. Mr. Robinson, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair Zong. Thank you, committee members, for letting me come testify today. Also, to Majority Whip Hollins for authoring this bill. Also, I want to say thank you to the committee members for Monday for doing a moment of silence for Devin Smith, who was a recent program participant of ours, who had excellent attendance, who passed away. So I appreciate all the community members doing a moment of silence on the floor on Monday. The bill. So what we're asking for, we're a nonprofit, 30,000 Feet, been around about 9 years, going on 10 years. I know I look kind of young. I'm a co-founder of the organization. We provide tech apprenticeship program, which wonderful colleague here is a part of, where young people who are interested in computer science, get into technical field, come. Apprenticeship, they work on different number of projects. They work towards your coding certificate, and then they also, when they're there, they get to make some income while they're participating. And also, we got an after-school program for elementary young people who struggle with reading, and we use arts to kind of engage them because, as we know, we're struggling in Minnesota with the literacy rates and different things of that nature. And also, what's different from what we asked from the last biennium, the $250,000, the increase to $375,000. Is because the wraparound services, the needs coming out the COVID-19 pandemic, where we see some of the soft skills, some of the other things that's needed, resume prep, job prepping young people for job interviews, mental health support for young people, in which like to make sure they're healthy enough and they're ready enough to go and participate in these internships that we try to connect them with the local tech companies in Minnesota. And then the summer learning loss too, as we know, last year we did nine weeks of summer learning loss support I had one staff said he didn't know if he was going to make it through. He never smoked cigarettes before, but he wanted to smoke cigarettes after the 9 weeks with the young people. But and so yeah, so we did 9 weeks just because of the COVID-19 learning loss and making sure that we were being responsible to the community. So that's all I got for y'all today. Thank you for letting me come testify today.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson, and I see you have a student who's going to be testifying too, so please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Oh, hi, my name is Kyla. I'm a student. I'm just going to use my phone to help me with my words. Sorry, I have to log in. Okay. What should I say? Like, what should I talk about? Just talk about all of this? Oh, okay. This job has opened my eyes to many different opportunities outside, like for colleges. I never thought about computer science before, but because of coding, it has been an interest. I thought it would be hard to understand coding, but with 30K feet, they have taught me so much, and they have taught me all the way from the summer and fall. I enjoy learning from Code Academy. The concepts are obtainable and manageable, and always have fun projects on it. The staff are very wonderful. Sorry. And they take the time out of their days to help us and go extra hours and minutes for us. Lastly, it feels like a community when I'm there. I feel like everybody is just welcoming to the students, and no matter where you're at in coding, they will still take the time to help you and guide you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Any further testifiers? Representative Hollins?
No, Chair Zhang.
Questions, comments? Representative Harder?
Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you, Representative Hollins. The question that I have is, can you tell me how many students do you serve and what is the success rate to find employment?
Yeah, so that's a good. Thank you, Chair Zong. Representative, I didn't catch your name.
Harder.
Harder. So last year, I think we had 230 high school students apply, and I think around like 160 end up coming through. We do 4 cohorts each quarter, so we do a cohort every 3 months with about 25 to 30 young people. And the success rate, I think about 40 something of them completed the cohort because it's hard. In high school students, they might start and then their interest might change up as any young person. And the success rate, we was able to get 5 young people internship experience at the Health Partners Mobile Web and Development Department, which 3 of them end up getting full-time employment part-time right now, getting paid $25 an hour. We got 2 young people who are going to one in Concordia University for computer science, and then another one going to St. Paul College for computer science. And we hope to expand that this time around, Representative.
Representative Harder.
Thank you. I have one more question, Chair Zhang. Okay, my question then is this bill also going to be heard in education?
Representative Hollins.
My understanding is it being laid over because it's in particular related to workforce development. I'm not opposed to it going to education, although Chair Zhang might be.
Representative Harder.
Thank you, Chair Zhang. The reason why I was asking is because there's a lot of education in here, and so I was just curious what the correlation would be with education. But thank you for answering that question.
Representative Becker-Flynn.
Thank you, Chair. And I just had a question about, 'cause you're located that far from my district and the students who I serve in the Roseville area. So just curious if you can talk about, which schools these students come from. And, as I was looking at our website, I was kind of thinking about ways, are there ways that our school could be a partner and that our students could benefit from the good work that you're doing? So if you could just talk a little bit about where the kids in the program come from, that would be great.
Yeah. So, thank you, Representative Finn, Baker Finn. So a lot of the we have people who come from Roseville too. We kind of stay kind of like east side of St. Paul, but we got some borderline Maplewood, Roseville kind of creep in to the program, Oakdale, Woodbury. So we do have students like that. Also, we offer like a remote because of COVID. We started this particular program during COVID. November 2019, I think COVID hit March 2020. We started this program, so we had to go straight remote after we started this program. And so we offer a remote participation with Kyla. She participates remotely, but sometimes she comes in if she wants to, but she participates remotely because she don't live on the east side of St. Paul.
Representative Hollins?
Vic,
I just wanted to add to that. So because I've visited the site a couple of times and met some of the students. And so there is a decent number of students that are coming from Roseville who might live in Roseville or go to school in St. Paul or vice versa. Go to school in Roseville but actually live on the east side of St. Paul. So because I was there with my senator who also represents part of Roseville, and she was like, "Oh, Roseville, in the house." And I was like,
Representative Becker?
thank you. Yeah, and I think it sounds like a great program, and I know like Roseville Schools has their AVID program, which is kind of aimed at the same kinds of students with the same kinds of struggles, and it seems like the kind of program that we need to fill that gap in between what students are getting in school and then actually job skills and making that kind of leap in between and getting that support. So I appreciate you answering the question. It sounds like a really great program.
Lead Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Representative Hollins for bringing this forward. A couple of things I have. You've been around for 9 years. Sounds like it's a pretty successful program. You're looking for about a 50% increase over what it was last biennium. And again, you're adding some wraparound services. It sounds like they were initially services that I would have maybe assumed were already being offered. So I'm wanting to make sure that this is what we're asking today, is how there's a lot of attention on where the money is going and what are we getting for this money that goes out to a lot of great nonprofits. Hearing Kyla's story is really important for us to hear that she's actually getting into coding, which is something that seems really challenging to me, and I hope that really works out well for you. But as we move forward here, we need to make sure that we as legislators are doing our jobs to ask the questions that sometimes seem to be a little uncomfortable, or make sure it's clear. On the website, if I looked at it a little bit yesterday, I didn't see a lot of the wraparound services that were maybe mentioned in detail. Representative Hollins, are we seeing a report that's brought to us so we can see where they've come and how many kids they have touched through a year? I know that you had mentioned that as well, Mr. Robinson, but I want to make sure that we ask these questions with all respect, because we are being held accountable to our taxpayers as well. And the last thing I will say, because I'll let you finish it and then I'll be done. I want to go see your place as well, and I really can't encourage enough of our members on workforce on this committee. If we can arrange a couple of tours with a number of us from both sides, let's go see it. Eyeballs on a operation means a lot. I have seen and learned a lot by doing that myself. So just help me with some of those details, because this is a big increase. And I want to know, what is this extra special sauce you're adding to it to make us feel like this is a good one to support? So appreciate that. Thank you.
Representative Hollins.
So thank you. Thank you, Chair Zhang. I'm sorry. I'm not used to 8:30 morning hearings. I'm sorry. Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you, Representative. So I'll partially answer the question, which is to say that the increase in funding is not just for the wraparound services, but it's also because there are more students who want to participate than they are able to currently provide, the experience for, because of the lack of funding, or because that lesser amount of funding. So I think the wraparound services have always been a part of it. I don't know what your experience is working with high school students, but or even college students or law students. I've been mentor programs for all of those, and there's a lot of soft skills that go into it, right? A lot of you have to be on time, you need to say thank you and, just things that we kind of pick up along the way, but that some folks need a little extra hand-holding in. So I think that there's always been sort of some of these wraparound and soft skill services that are being provided, but we want to make sure that we can actually reach all of the students that want to participate, as opposed to having to pick and choose which ones get to be a part of it. But I'll let the more detailed answer come from.
Mr. Robinson.
Okay, thank you, Chair Zong and Representative Baker. Thank you. So yeah, that's a good question. So the soft skills, I think some of the soft skills we was having some of the staff who do the coding piece of it do the soft skills, and they was like, well, Kevin, we got to teach coding. That's kind of hard. Like, so now you want us to do interviewing, you want us to do resume prep, you want us to do any a number of skills like that, and so some of the other money would go into that. And then as far as like the question around, so the wraparound would be some of that stuff. I also like having them mentally prepared to go into there. A lot of young people that we work with have a lot of anxiety when they go interview, and they might bomb it. So really making sure they're confident in themselves. They got, how help them build the confidence, something like that. Just a lot of soft skills when they go into interview or talking to other people, networking, different things of those skills. As far as like the outcomes, Deed provides, we did a desk review where they kind of see if you're hitting, a desk review is like a mini audit of the grant. And they see like if you're hitting your marks, you're financially doing what you need to do as far as like the documents that you got to provide to them. And we came back clean on all of those, and I could provide that to anybody who wants to see those. And then the second thing, at the end of the session, they do a legislative report that comes from Deed, and then Corey Smith, who's the youth coordinator for Deed, we send the data over to him, and he sends it. I don't know who he sends it over to, a part of that, but it's a legislative report, gives a breakdown like how many people we served, the demographics, any number of things like that, and so we could provide that too. Representative Baker, thank you.
Representative Weems.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Kayla, thanks. That was, you're very poised. I've got a 15-year-old daughter, and boy, I don't think she could have probably testified as well as you have. Maybe with a lot of practice, she could have got there. But,
She will see this.
but I'm sorry. Can we strike that last statement? No. Very good. Thank you. And Mr. Robinson, thank you. Thank you for being here, and sorry for your loss. Representative Hollins. So I think from what you've heard from a couple of my colleagues on this side, and if you've ever seen me in the Veterans Committee, I'm the buzzsaw of we got to have accountability, we got to have transparency, reporting, and evaluative criteria so that we know we're doing the right thing, not just by the taxpayers, but by the people that we're serving. In that, and I think you mentioned this would be laid over, so probably my comments are more on what I would call coordinating instructions for these deed bills that are going to carry different programs. But what you said, Mr. Robinson, about who you're serving and the population, the type of reporting, the other two things typically I ask about are auditing. Is it an internal audit or an external audit? And then the other thing is charitable giving analysis or percentage. And if you have that data right now, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah. So we just did. Okay, thank you, Chair Zong, and Representative Weems. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's good. We just we had to, for another community we got a bill for. We did. We just got done doing our audit. Nothing was found. A third-party audit. And then we're doing another audit for 2022. So I could share that with the committee too, Representative Weems. Financial audit. So it's a financial audit over the documents where all the money went. It's very extensive. So I could share that too with the committee if need be.
Representative Weems.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Robinson, great. And you didn't know this today, but on the charitable giving analysis, I think that would be one of those things I would want to see on those, I would say, annual reports back to this committee, back to the legislature, so we know that we're doing the right thing by our people, whether it's the taxpayer or whether it's those that are served and the parents. And I look forward to the passage of 30,000, although we're laying over right now, but looking forward to supporting it. Thank you.
Okay, we have 3 more members, and we're going to move forward. So next is Representative Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Robinson, it's good to see you again. We met during the pandemic. And I'm glad to see that things are still going well, and I'm glad to see that things are growing, and that's why you're here requesting an increase in the funding. And I do want to say it's very important the skills that you're offering our kids. I move around a lot in the public safety sector, and I always talk about intervention and prevention, and I think about programs like this are important for our kids to gain skills and to be in places and spaces that are positive to keep them moving forward and reaching their full potential. Seema, you've been around for, is it 9 to 10 years? 9 years now. Are you starting to see, my question is, are you starting to see some of the kids that have gone through the program come back and be mentors or coding trainers themselves, or even coming back to teach some of the soft skills?
Yeah, we thank you, Chair. Nice thing you get to Representative Fraser. It's been a while. Yeah, so I think we've seen like a lot of last cohort. We had some people who had graduated who's really just good. Some of them, they get the coding certificate. And we always say, listen, you don't have to go into the field.
Right.
It's just something, if you want to do, just having the options to be able to explore, you could always have that that certificate in your back pocket if you want to go do something else. It's just, coding is a good thing to make some good money. They all want to make some money. So we had some young people who mentor who were just good at it. Just probably didn't want to go into the field internship. Was really good at it. It was like, Kevin, I just want to hang out and just help other people. And so we see that, and we try to have that more like peer-led stuff. Because if it's adults always telling you something to do, after a while, you like, we're not going to always be in the room with these young people. Right. So what happens when we're not in the room with them? What kind of decisions are they making? Are they helping each other out? So we try to build community where they could help each other out, and they bond with each other more than, adult they just met, because that's their peers. They trust them more. Yeah. It takes sometimes a longer time for adults to build that trusting relationship with them. But their peers, they like it better when their peers tell them how to do it, and they just talk to them in a different way. Probably we can't communicate it to them, and they better understand it. So we do see that Representative Fraser, young people who's willing to do it, who love to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
Representative Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. And that's what I was hoping your response would be. I think it's very advantageous to encourage that and cultivate that type of environment. Our young people do respond better to their peers than they do to their adults sometimes because they haven't got the perspective to know that their adults are very smart. But right. I appreciate you cultivating that perspective. Thank you.
Yeah. Representative Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Rep. Hollins, for this bill. I'm going to say for the record that I know that many of these nonprofits do report to DEED, and DEED has extensive reporting. So if anybody wants that report, I think we can request some of the reporting from DEED, and maybe the chair can help us with that. I don't know. But I know that I'm hearing from many nonprofits that DEED has a lot of reporting that this nonprofits has to go through. That's not the comment I want to make. The comment I want to make is thank you for doing this work. Our young people need help. Ever since the world started, young people always needed help from adults in the room. And people talk about role models, but I always talk about what's called the real model. Role model is somebody that you see in TV. Real model is somebody that's in your life, that you can pick up the phone and call. And I'm sure some of the young people in your program can pick up the phone if they're in trouble and call you and other adults in this program to say, hey, I need help. And that's what we need. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Hassan. Next, and lastly is Representative Hemmingson-Yeager.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you to Kyla as another woman in science on the genetics side. Super excited to see that another woman is up and coming on the coding side, because that's really where I think all of our jobs and all of our needs and all of our expertise is going to be in the future. So thank you so much for being here.
All right, well, I will just say that for those who want more information, we do have a workforce development DEED information online where you can just go to the website and get the audit information. It's all public information there. For those who are seeking more information about accountability, you can go look there. Representative Hollins, your closing statement.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, committee members, for the questions and the discussion. I think this is really great. I truly do believe in accountability and seeing the results of the money that we're investing. I also want us to think about when people are asking for less than $500,000, the burden that we put on organizations to do that reporting and how we might streamline that to make sure that we're not asking too much of people who are, getting these smaller amounts. I've seen firsthand this organization really grow and achieve and become more. And I think especially from the perspective of, preventative public safety and having role models in the community that look like them, it is amazing for them to see people who look like them, who are black and brown, and who are doing things that are, that we just don't see. We don't get to see it on TV. We don't get to see folks that look like us doing the sort of work that we're doing. And so for them to be able to meet those people, work with them, get, advice on how to pursue careers in this area, it just makes a huge difference for these kids. And so I really appreciate the opportunity to present on this today, and I hope that you'll support it going forward. So thank you.
I will renew my motion that House File 369 be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. Next is House File 684. Representative Hassan will be presenting the bills on the Summit Academy OIC bill. And Representative Hassan will move that House File 684 be laid over for possible inclusion in the omnibus bill. The chief author of the bill is out sick today, and so Representative Hassan, who will be added as a co-author, will be presenting the bill this morning. Welcome to the committee, Representative Hassan. You may go ahead and proceed.
Do we move the bill first, Mr. Chair?
Yep, well, I did move that.
Oh, you did? Okay, I didn't hear that. I was moving around. All right. Well, House File 684, good morning, everyone. House File 684 is a bill relating to workforce development, appropriating money to Summit Academy. $2.5 million in the fiscal year 2024 and $2.5 in the fiscal year 2025. As we know, Summit Academy has a legacy of training thousands of young men and women, especially BIPOC folks, in the construction industry. In the last 4 years, Summit Academy has placed 700 of its graduates in jobs in the construction industry, where their wage was, the average wage was about $20. I had the opportunity to visit Summit Academy over the summer and get a tour. And my question to them was, how can we do more? How can we get more young people to walk into these doors, to work up, to get training in IT, to get training in construction, to get knowing what was going on in that summer. Last summer there was a lot of issues with young people acting out because they were bored, because they had nothing better to do. So that was my ask to the leadership of Summit Academy to say, what can we do to support you to get more young people in this space so we can set them up for a successful transition into adulthood? So with that, I have two members who are going to do a better job than I'm doing right now, Mr. Chair, and then we'll stand for questions.
Welcome to the committee, and please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Leroy West, President, CEO of Summit Academy. And thank you so much for this opportunity this morning to discuss the work that we're doing at Summit, creating the pathways into the middle class and developing long-term careers for low-income Minnesotans. Summit Academy is a leader in workforce development, training nearly 1,000 adults each year in demand careers in construction, IT, healthcare, and we're growing. We're responding to the calls from employers who know Summit's reputation. We have plans for both programmatic and regional expansion. We're developing curriculum for financial services and taking our construction program outside of the Summit County Metro to places like St. Cloud and Bemidji and other initiatives. In just 20 weeks, we can take a student with no out-of-pocket costs and place them with an average wage of $40,000 a year. I will walk you through a PowerPoint presentation to kind of give you more of an overview of what we do and who we are. So you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, here we are a regional asset and in terms of jobs and creating a strong workforce. And our disciplines are construction, healthcare, IT. We also have a GED program, and we also have an accelerated training, which we're now beginning to get into customized training, and food manufacturing is our latest initiative as we're moving forward there. We also have Workers of Tomorrow. We have a STEM program. We have a division what's called the Northside STEM District, and this is where we begin to expose the shorties, the little ones, and getting them involved, right? Because they are the workers of the future. So we need to expose them to the technology and get it on their minds right now of what it is going to take for them to be successful in their careers. Because now we have on Saturdays, the first Saturday of each month, we can have 150 to 200 kids in the gym where we're providing technology to them, giving them an opportunity to create their awareness. It's like Minnesota in hockey, right? The adults put their kids on ice skates at age 3, right? So when they grow up through the system, that's why Minnesota have one of the largest, have more NHL players come from Minnesota than any other state. It's because of that. Why can't we do that in technology and expose our youth at that early age? So this is very critical and very key for us as we begin to expose kids to the workforce of the future. And that's why we have this program. We have a Best Buy Teen Tech Center as well. We also have a mobile innovation lab where we take the bus around to various schools where kids can actually go on the bus there and participate in technology program. Here are our partners. Again, we're an accredited institution. We're accredited through Council of Occupation Education out of Atlanta. We're also licensed through Minnesota Office of Higher Ed. Here's the slide here, and we talk about our program model. At the end of the day, it's about moving poor people into the middle class. So if you look at this chart, from the beginning, we have a household, those who are entering in the summit, when they enroll, they have a household income of $21,600. Then there's the immersion process. They come through the 20 weeks training in the education, and a lot of our students come from all walks of life. They could have been tried college, and it didn't work out. They could have transitioned from prison. They could have been sitting on his mom's couch for 8-9 years trying to figure out what they're going to do with their lives. They come from all walks of life. But when they go through those 20 weeks, it's about getting them to that bullseye, that $40,000 a year at no out-of-pocket cost to the student. Then it's the Life After Summit campaign, the career management model. What is it going to take for them to get to $50,000 to $73,000? And that's where we now move into the employers. That's why we have employer partners to work with them so that they can help navigate themselves so that they can get to that higher level. If anybody else is in a household who's making at least $20 an hour, they have a household income of $80,000, which the median income in the Twin Cities is $79,000. They're on their way. Here's our outcomes by program. Construction, as you can see in our fiscal year 22, we placed 187 students at $20.96 an hour. 99% of them was placed in the field in which they were trained, 98% full time. You can see IT, which is the newer program that we launched several years ago. Went from 14 students at 114, and we're currently at about 150 in this fiscal year. In healthcare, we started 146, we had 77. We had a program, we were offering CNAs. We no longer do the CNA program anymore. We now have one program, but we are looking at additional healthcare programs where there's career upward mobility. Our impact, 2022, 900 students enrolled. 2/3 of the students are students of color. 422 students were placed in employment, again, in their average placement wage at $40,000 a year. We look at our growth. As you can see in fiscal year 19, we had enrolled 989. Fiscal year 2021, we all know what was going on then, right? So holding what we got is basically growth for us during those years. So now it's about growth. We are right now poised to double down. We are right now poised to expand and to now grow to 2,000 students by 2025 in various programs where we not only do, but the expansion that we're also doing and that we're hearing from employers and how we're expanding to not only the 7-county metro, but the region as well. As I just shared here are some of the initiatives that we already launched. Accredited program, cybersecurity, we launched in Bemidji, and we also are beginning to enroll students from St. Cloud, and we're looking at other areas as well. Here are some of our student success stories. Here, pretty soon you'll hear from our graduate. And again, what we are looking for is for the state to continue to invest in our future. We're asking requests for funding for our general base for $5 million, 24-25 to $2.5 million a year for we can increase our expansion to do the more the good work at Summit. And now what I'd like to do is, so that kind of concludes mine, what I'd like to do is to introduce one of our graduates so she can begin to share her story.
Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, representatives. My name is Mariah Hemp, and I'm a graduate of Summit Academy, class of April 2022. Well, September 22 is when I graduated. So my story begins as a new citizen to Minnesota. I'm originally from Chicago, and when I first came here, I had only been here for about 4 or 5 months, and I was looking to further my education and also further my opportunity in just making more money. In Chicago, we don't have many opportunities. So coming to Minnesota, it really opened up the door for me to grow as a person and as a parent. I would like to start out by acknowledging and thanking Summit for allowing me to speak on behalf of graduated students and current students there. My story begins as a single mother, new to Minneapolis, looking to further my education, but not having the resources or funds to do so. At the time of my enrollment, I had only been a citizen of Minnesota for about 4 months when I came across an intriguing flyer to further my education at no cost. No cost. How many institutions do we know that are willing to offer people who want to better their lives at $0? For me, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. During my time spent at Summit, I have received support and guidance like no other. Once in a place where I was continuously surrounded by negativity, to being in a place that granted me the endless support, monthly guest speakers, community resources, opportunities to network with supporting partners and means of transit and food resources for students. To think that in just 5 months, to think that in just a 5-month time span, my life had done a 180. I feel more motivated, happy, more confident in myself, and more professional. Thanks to my teachers, my guidance counselor, and the Summit family, I had became a new person and a better parent. All my teachers, my guidance counselors, and the director have played an extremely significant role in my success story. Currently, after graduating, I am enrolled at Hollins University in medical coding. I'm supposed to graduate this year in December with my associate's degree, and then next year I am actually continuing my education and getting my bachelor's degree in engineering. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hemp, for your testimony. Representative Ryer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Representative Agbaje, of course, for carrying this, and Mr. West and Ms. Hamp for testifying. One of the things that struck me in your materials that I really liked was the representation of so many girls and young women, especially knowing the barriers there are to moving into trades or STEM. And I'm just wondering if you could comment on your approach to doing that, ensuring that women in our communities are having the opportunity to thrive. You're clearly a shining example of success for that, and congratulations. But I'd love to hear more about your approach. Thank you.
Absolutely, Mr. Chair. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, Representative Ryer. Absolutely, and you know, especially in the construction industry, one of the things we've done is we work very close with the employers and our employer partners, and we listen to them. We understand what are their needs. So in terms of the workforce, we like to have, you know, what's the diversity and women, especially in the construction. You know, I've been with the Summit for over 20 years, so I was the architect behind the program before I became president and CEO. So part of it is we developed this Women Wear Hard Hats Too, to really have these sub-campaigns within the programs that we have, because the women were underrepresented in some of these non-traditional occupations. We also begin to talk to the employers about what's the future and how we are able to expose more women into these industries, especially the IT. We listen in the IT, we're new in the IT. We've been in construction for a long time. That's where we cut our teeth. We use that model and use that platform to say, okay, what's the next workforce look like? We have advisory councils for various disciplines. So in the IT field, we were listening to them. We say we need more women represented in the IT field. So we strategically go after the next workforce for the future, get girls exposed to coding, and really have a marketing campaign to begin to address to market specifically for women in the various fields.
Representative Ryer.
I'm good. Thank you.
Lead Baker.
Mr. Chair and Mr. West, thank you very much for coming today, and Representative Hassan, thanks for picking it up. I would have done that for Representative Agbaje today, because this is it's a great organization. I think when I was a first-term member, I might have carried this bill or something. I may be mistaken, but it's a good organization. And to the organizers too, I appreciate you being up north in Bemidji and around the state. This is good work. Again, like the questions that I want to ask a lot of our folks that are doing this kind of work, your increase is more than double of what it was last year. And I want to just point out that I heard you say there's no more CNN program. And that's sad. It's I know it's an important issue, but you can't create a program if you don't have the people to do it. And I don't know what's driving those decisions. I'm sure it was a heavy decision to make, and I know it wasn't easy. But if we, and again, this committee at some point later this year will decide how much we can give out with our targets that are given to us. We don't have unlimited dollars, but you are really asking for a large increase, like probably, I don't know if you've ever asked for more than double before. But it comes with a lot of expectations then too. Either, you know, so my point is, you're cutting out at least one service that you had done before with CNA. Are you planning to expand in other areas of the state? Are you, how do you kind of help justify that doubling of the funds, so when we talk about this later on, we kind of know where Summit's at? Thank you.
Mr. West.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and Representative Baker. Absolutely. We're going for 1,000 to 2,000 students in terms of our growth, and the state is representing about 20% of our budget. So there's other funds that, in addition to what it is that we're asking here, because the amount of dollars that it takes to train a student is close to $10,000 a student in terms of doing that. So with that, in terms of the infrastructure that's needed up in St. Cloud and Bemidji, and the technology that's needed, the classroom space, the teacher, the various materials, it costs a lot in terms of the expansion. We're expanding here in the 7-county metro as well. So we're going in addition to the financial services. We're looking at the food manufacturing. We're also started looking at building maintenance, building maintenance engineers. The healthcare piece, we are beginning to explore other options in the healthcare, the dental specialists as well. The CNAs, you said, we got out of that because years ago they were getting paid $14 an hour. And there was a 3-week course, and our courses are 20 weeks. So they didn't need us to really get that. So we moved that to other local organizations, and they can take that while we look at other areas in careers where we could then expose them to another level of careers, like the dental specialists and some of the other careers in healthcare, which was the reason why we made the decision to move out of that. Plus, our aim point was higher than that. We didn't want to place people at, under $15 an hour. That's not what we want. We're not looking at that. You don't need that. As you can see, our average wage is higher. We want higher age so that people that we serve can earn a living wage. And what we want to do is enter them into the mainstream.
Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Zalestikar.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for being here. This is right in my wheelhouse of what I love to see happening. So, in talking to the superintendents of the schools and just the business community, there's a huge need. So I applaud you for your efforts. I hope you'll look at northern Minnesota. The trades are up there, and when I look at your programs, I look forward to touring where you're at, because I think these 20-hour courses in conjunction with the 1-year programs and that whole career plan is something that I hope as a legislative body we're going to have initiative. The idea that every child is going to do a 4-year degree is a falsehood and I think we have really done a lot of kids a disservice. And I have one that was a 4-year student and one that went to Dunwoody and is in the trades, and both are succeeding. And so I think, to your point of the 20-week course, it gets people excited and having confidence and self-esteem, and then having a job and having something that you're good at. So I just applaud you for what you're doing. I'd love to see more of this. I also like to know what you're doing with the programs, what's in capital, what's in teaching, how many more students are we placing. And I looked at your board of directors. You have a very diverse group that are well respected in the business community. So, keep doing great work and look forward to the reports back so we can make good decisions for Minnesota. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Nelson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I will echo those comments. And I was looking at your slide with the the business partners on that, and the importance of making sure that somebody that's going, one of your students going through the training is getting the careers or the skills that they need in their career. And and I say career because I see career as something that you feel you're a part of. It's not just a job. You're not just making wages to be able to pay their rent or whatever. It's more than that. And I see this as an important part. And I'm assuming that most of this, most of who you serve as adults are probably post high school, and but then also I think one of the other important parts, maybe you could touch on this a little bit, is for your K-12, who you're bringing in and exposing them to a career, because I think one of the unfortunate parts of our education system is, we graduate high school, or our students graduate high school, and they may or may not know where they want to go. They might not have been exposed to a career field that they're really interested in. So they, sometimes wander aimlessly through college. They rack up, enormous student debt, and they're trapped maybe in a career that they have no desire to be in because they really weren't exposed to it and didn't understand what they were getting into. And maybe if you could just kind of explain a little bit of, what are you doing on your Saturdays when if I'm understanding this, what are you doing on your Saturdays that are kind of exposing and showing the career opportunities for our youth?
Mr. West.
Thanks, Mr. Chair and Representative Nelson. Yeah, and it's just that we want to expose our youth to the different opportunities in the tech space. And on Saturdays, we have a curriculum where the kids, we may do coding one week, and they're learning different. There's a 12 each month. There's a curriculum dealing with STEM, and so the kids will come in. We have employer partners. We have 150 kids that have come in, but we also have volunteers and employers come and volunteer, and they may build a robot, or they may build a car, and they may talk about what is it that they built, right? And then they take that home with them, right? So it's all about getting kids exposed to technology and STEM, and we're educating them along the way. And it's a part about building the ecosystem. So that's the fun, meeting the kids where they are. And as they begin to move forward with especially the pre-K, the K through 6, and then we also have the junior high program where we have the Best Buy Teen Tech Center. So they can then move into the Best Buy Teen Tech Center where they're exposed to, we have a recording studio, we have printing, 3D image printing, and lots of different things that kids are exposed to. We wanted to get them exposed to a lot of different opportunities so that we can then put them on a path of like, oh, wow, so I didn't know that I can go to school and do this. Oh, I didn't know that there was a career in this. It's exposing them to a multiple careers, and we're not just saying come to Summit. We're saying here are different tech opportunities that you can get into. And that's the whole hockey analogy I was doing earlier is let's expose them to technology so they can see all the types of different careers that they can get into that they may not even know that existed.
Representative Nelson.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think it's, it's a wonderful program, and just exposing the youth to the opportunities that are out there is, quite oftentimes, youth follow in the path of their parents, and, maybe, this can open up some opportunities and really give them the passion, the desire that they have in life. So thank you.
Representative Becker-Fine.
I thank you, Chair Zhang, and I just wanted to lift up the expansion that you're working on in the Bemidji area, and I think folks might not always realize, but Bemidji is really the central area between three of our three largest reservation and tribal communities. And so wanted to lift that up, that we don't always think about service to more diverse communities when we think of rural Minnesota, and especially like far northern rural Minnesota, but Bemidji really does have a population of folks that really could be served by these programs. So I know the range likes to throw their weight around, but the Bemidji area, there's a lot of good people and good work happening in that area too. So just wondering if you can speak a little bit. Hopefully you've been in communication and there is partnership there with the tribes. But if there isn't, would encourage you to do that, because I think there's some good opportunities to really help some folks in those areas.
Mr. West.
Thanks, Mr. Chair, Representative Baker-Finn. Absolutely. We actually, in our cybersecurity class, we currently have two students in our virtual cybersecurity from Bemidji. We're working close with the Northwest CDC up there as well. We started last September, and we enrolled two students, and we are now beginning to hire a recruiter for that mid region between St. Cloud and Bemidji, so that we can begin to work the students and build the relationships with the tribes and also with the community in St. Cloud and in between. It's, the one thing we learned through the pandemic is at Summit, we've always managed, training in our sandbox, but we've also learned during the pandemic that we can train virtually as well. And that's one of the things that came out of this is we expand our reach, and we can reach folks now, and that's why we're reaching with our friends in Bemidji and in St. Cloud, and be able to provide them with the opportunity to reach those who are unemployed and underemployed, and provide them with the skills so that they can now also get into the mainstream and into the game. And especially when we talk about the virtual, you could have somebody in Bemidji all of a sudden go through our program, get a cybersecurity job, and they're working virtually. So they could be working from somewhere, a company down here in the Twin Cities, but living there, right? So we're making that connection and begin to build employer relationships there as well, so that we can help those regions. And that's the work, the model that we've learned here and that we're taking out state as well.
Representative Becker-Fine.
No follow-up.
Representative Henderson Yeager, you're the last person, and then we're gonna lay over the bill. Representative Henderson Yeager.
And this is just to Ms. Hamp, as a woman in STEM, to another woman in STEM. I'm super excited to see you taking, your experience, your appreciation for medical coding, and going into engineering. So thank you and best of luck.
Closing remarks, Representative.
Mr. Chair, before I say my last remarks, our testifier has something to add to her testimony.
Go ahead, Ms. Hamp.
Thank you, representatives and chair. Before we end, I just wanted to state that I am currently an employee at Children's Hospital and Clinic. I actually work in a heart clinic, in which I love, because I love all my little clients and my babies. And I actually was able to get that job after, actually before graduating. I did a on-the-job training, which allowed me to get the experience and also receive my certification.
Representative Hassan.
This is a good bill. Lead Baker said that, so I'll support it.
All right, Chair Representative Hassan will renew her motion that House File 684 be laid over possible inclusion. The next bill on the agenda, we have two bills, and we have to be out of here by 10 a.m. for session. So Representative Sencer-Mura.
No? Oh, two. Okay, got it. Got it. Oh.
House File 849.
480?
I'm not doing it.
489.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know that one. Are they here? Are people here?
Representative Sencer-Mura will move that House File 489 be laid over possible inclusion. Welcome to the committee, Representative Sencer-Mura.
And it is my first time presenting a committee. I brought cupcakes. I don't know how people feel about cupcakes.
You know what to do.
And some of them have lost their frosting.
I feel appreciative.
Yeah. I don't like frosting, so that'll help.
Something for everybody.
All right, Representative Sencer-Mura, you may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you, committee members. Happy to be here today and really honored to be introducing House File 489 to the committee today. This bill is about bringing people back into our community and making sure that they are successful when they come back. Better Futures provides job skills training for recently incarcerated people who were released from prison in the last 12 months for felony level offenses. They work with 100 men per year, and this bill will require that Better Futures report their results from this grant each year to DEED, including information on the number of participants, employment outcomes, outcomes related to homelessness and recidivism. Men working with Better Futures represent those who face the most barriers to getting employment and keeping employment, and Better Futures addresses both of these issues. Better Futures gives their participants 12 certifications, many of which represent career paths in sustainability, such as deconstruction, and they also give their participants real support services, whether it's rent support, whether it's transportation support, all of those things to help make sure that people can be successful in their jobs. I would invite all committee members to come and visit their space, which is in my home district in South Minneapolis, not too far away. I got a chance to visit last week, and I was, blown away both by just kind of the support that they give their participants, but also just the really important work that they are doing in our community, really around sustainability and deconstruction. So they are going into houses, they are helping deconstruct them, they are helping to get rid of materials that would otherwise, just be thrown away. They are contracting with cities to do help with recycling, and so they are providing really vital services for our community. This bill is about giving people second chances, and it's also about making sure that participants are prepared for jobs for the future. And I just want to note that, this organization only serves men with felonies. The average participant they work with has 3 felonies. And so for that population, the average recidivism rate is 65%. Better Futures has shown real impact, real results. Their recidivism rate is 5%. So the typical, I wanted to repeat that, typical recidivism rate is 65%, and the participants from Better Futures have a 5% recidivism rate. You know, so they have gotten funding from the state before, and I just kind of want to break down, you know, that funding. So they work with 100 men per year. In the past, the state has invested about 1,500 per participant that they work with, and that has been a huge return on investment. So when we think about, you know, this is helping to keep people in the community, keep people out of our prison system, helping to generate tax revenue, helping to generate child support payments, you know, supporting and ensuring that we don't have county costs regarding rehabilitation. I think this is a great program. I think it's, you know, the right thing to fund. It's also a huge return on investment. And with that, I would like to yield the rest of my time to the amazing testifiers that I have here today who can tell you more. Thank you.
Welcome to committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair, committee members. PJ Hubbard, representing Better Futures Minnesota. Better Futures Minnesota embraces a population of men who are locked out of society, living in chronic poverty, with histories of incarceration, persistent unemployment, untreated mental illness, addiction, and homelessness. Our workforce development social enterprise provides 12 trainings and certifications, on-the-job training, and employment for men that we serve coming directly out of incarceration. Most of our men have little to no work experience, and for some, employment with Better Futures Minnesota is their first full-time job. As convicted felons, they are often locked out of employment opportunities. Better Futures Minnesota is focused on breaking down barriers to employment through intensive trainings, on-the-job training, job placement, and support services. Our support services include, but are not limited to, housing support to reduce homelessness and increase stabilization, transportation support to reduce barriers to gainful employment, mental health support to address long-term trauma, chemical health support to address long-term addiction, birth certificate and state identification support, and on and on and on. In 2021, 106 men completed approximately 29,000 on-the-job training hours in our business lines, and we ended the year with a 5% recidivism rate. Chair, committee members, we welcome you out to Better Futures, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today, and I'm extremely proud of Tino Jones, who is beside me to share his personal testimony.
Mr. Jones, welcome to committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, committee. My name is Tino Jones, and I came to Better Futures in 2018, and I was lost, looking for structure, and Better Futures provided that for me. I came in starting off as a participant. I ended up being crew chief in training, crew chief, supervisor, assistant manager, and now I manage 2 departments in the warehouse at Better Futures, appliances and sales. So also, I'm happily married now. I even own a home. So I would like to say thank you to Better Futures, and without Better Futures, I don't believe I'll be sitting right here with you all. And since I've been here, I haven't had any contact with law enforcement. Thank you.
Discussion.
I just want to, so can I add one thing? So when I got to visit Better Futures, I saw Tino give that same kind of testimony at the same time that he was also, I think, breaking down a refrigerator, which was very impressive. So just know that he has that skill.
Representative Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative, for bringing this bill. You know, I often say that accountability has its place in our society and in our system. But when we take people out of the community and then when we decide it's safe for them to be back in the community, we should provide pathways and runways for them to land safely and to be productive and provide them with the skills they need so that they can stay in the community in a productive way. And I think this program does just that. So thank you for bringing this bill, and I look forward to supporting it, and I hope we can see more of it just like this. Thank you.
Representative Baker.
Mr. Chair, and thank you again. This is one of those, I want to head over to Minnehaha Avenue and take a tour as well with a number of members here. I think this work you're doing is really important to help, again, in your area, mostly men coming out of incarceration. I think these folks need really a strong help to get the jobs they needed. We also need to do a better job helping employers be better employers. For folks that are trying to get back on their feet, they might stumble a little bit. I'm trying to help employers be better with people in substance use disorder. They're trying to understand, how do we do this better? How can we be more supportive? And a lot of times we don't take the time to slow that down. So I really want to hear your model, see it. I support what you're doing today. Thank you for bringing this forward. I think this is a good organization. And Tino, I'd like you to give me the tour when we head over that way. And again, I think others should do the same thing, because I'm looking forward to seeing your excitement right in the plant as well. Thank you.
Thank you, and yes, I will.
Closing remarks are Representative Sencer-Mura.
Yeah, thank you. And I think just to lead Baker's point, I know that one of the things that Better Futures told me about is also just the way that they can continue to work with employers, right? So that if an employer has a Better Futures employee, that the employee can reach out to the folks at Better Futures, that they can kind of, that mentorship and that support continues. And I just, want to agree with the comments of Representative Frazier. Accountability does have a place, but we also need to make sure that we're meeting accountability with support, and these are people that have done their time. They're coming back into the community, and the community is better when they are successful. And so I think Better Futures, with kind of the multiple services that they provide, the model that they provide, the way that they are preparing folks for the jobs of the future, I think they do a great job of doing that. So I look forward to continued conversations about this bill. Thank you, committee.
Thank you, Representative Sencer-Mura, for carrying this bill, and gentlemen, thank you for all the work you're doing. Representative Sencer-Mura will renew her motion to House File 489 be laid over for possible inclusion. Next is the Big Brothers and Big Sisters Youth Bill. Representative Sencer-Mura will move that House File 711 be laid over for possible inclusion. Representative Sencer-Mura, to your bill.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you, committee members. I'm back again with another bill. I didn't bring another round of treats. I'm sorry. But I'm excited to be here today presenting House File 711 before the committee today. And I want to thank Chair Zhang for his past authorship of this proposal. This bill would provide $1 million over the biennium to Big Brothers Big Sisters for workforce readiness, employment exploration, and skills development for youth ages 12 to 21. Big Brothers Big Sisters is the oldest and largest mentoring program in Minnesota, and they have received funding from the Workforce Development Fund for the last 10 years. With that, they have served more than 1,700 youth through career and future readiness last year. Mentoring youth and providing access to resources, skill building, and strong developmental relationships with a caring adult can help address systemic racial inequities and support youth to be resilient leaders and achieve long-term success. I think that most of us who are sitting here can think and remember a caring adult that helped guide our path to success. And yet 1 in 3 young people report that they do not have a mentor. The #1 factor in children developing resilience, confidence, self-esteem, positive decision-making is the presence of a caring adult. Relationships are the foundation of Big Brothers Big Sisters. They use a mentorship model spanning many times, many years, sometimes many decades, and then they leverage that relationship to help young people explore their kind of post-secondary options. I know that they have taken young people in Minnesota on some really creative kind of career endeavors, talking to food scientists at the Dairy Queen company here in Minnesota, taking young people to the airport to learn about the variety of jobs, kind of what plane management looks like, and they are doing that all through kind of leveraging the connections and the relationships that they've built with young people through their mentorship program. And with that, I would like to yield the rest of my time today to staff at Big Brothers Big Sisters, and then also past participants, littles who are no longer so little, but can speak to the impact of this program. Thank you.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Hello, my name is Jackie Johnson. I'm the Executive Director of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Central Minnesota. So thank you so much for this opportunity. The rise in mental health problems among America's youth led U.S. Surgeon General calling it a mental health pandemic. And while growing up can be especially difficult for the kids that we serve, the last few years have made it even more challenging. We at Big Brothers Big Sisters have been standing with kids for over 100 years. Kids come to us for additional support, guidance, and need someone who may have very different experiences than their own family. Big Brothers Big Sisters carefully identifies and places safe, life-changing mentors with kids. And it doesn't end when we make that match. It really just begins. We have been responsive to the changing needs of our kids and the changing needs of our communities. We have developed creative and impactful ways to meet different needs. We meet our kids where they're at today and give them direction and hope for where they could be tomorrow. Our program includes talking with our kids about their career track. We offer the opportunity to tour businesses, industries, explore career options. All of our kids have potential, but not all of our kids have access. Being a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters provides access to scholarships, and most of them are using it for technical training. As a very small example, our former littles today are working as EMTs, police officers, electrician, construction workers, sonographers, cosmetologists, and the list goes on. Being a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters opens up the doors for them. 4 years ago, Andrea was not even thinking about college when she was first met with her big sister Tammy. Now, as a high schooler, she's exploring career options and how her choices today will affect her when she's an adult. Having a mentor gives our kids confidence. Nick has been matched with his big brother Kelly for nearly 10 years. They were one of our first Bigs and Blues program where we were matching kids with police officers. When they were first matched, Kelly had to work to get one-word answers out of Nick. Fast forward 10 years, and Nick is social and competitive. He's an avid sportsman and is a dedicated hockey player. He graduated from high school last May and is currently enrolled in the electrical program at the St. Cloud Technical and Community College. These examples are special, but they are not unique. It is the work we do, and thank you for that opportunity.
Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, committee. My name is Agbaje, and I am a 20-year-old computer science student at the University of Minnesota. I've been part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program for about 13 years now. I met my Big John when I was 7 years old, and he's been a real influence in my life, and he's been, like Representative Hassan said, a real model. Excuse me, sorry. Over the years, John and I have done many activities, many things, but I think the biggest impact he's had in my life is being someone there that I can reach out and talk to whenever I have issues. He's been helpful with personal matters. He's been helpful when I just need to get my mind off things. He's even helped me with girls. Now that I am a college student, or during my senior year of college, I was reached out to by the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, and they helped me with filling out the FAFSA and looking for scholarships, and helped me decide what my major was going to be. And now that I'm in college, they're helping me look for internships and scholarships to further my career. I think this program is really beneficial to the youth and even people my age who are not so little anymore. And I hope you guys continue to fund them in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Yeah, my name is Pat Sukum. I'm the CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Twin Cities. Thank you for having us here today. Actually, to even take a little sidebar, I've been so inspired to actually hear all the testimony today. Many of the partners we work together, and I hope there's funding for all, right? We all rise together, and I actually find that Big Brothers Big Sisters plays a very unique role within all of the organizations we talked about and described, and appreciate just everyone here being open and engaged to all of these programs that are lifting our community. I actually started in this role as CEO about 18 months ago, so still relatively new. But my journey with Big Brothers Big Sisters started 25 years ago when I became a big to Derek. It's been a life-changing relationship. It's growth we both never would have experienced without Big Brothers Big Sisters bringing us together. We're still close. He was best man in my wedding. He actually pushed me to pursue this position, and even to the point that Agbaje made, looking back, he helped me with girls as well. So I know the power of Big Brothers Big Sisters and the very unique and trusted relationships it creates. I even point to John over here is Agbaje's big. They've been together for 14 years. And just sort of that relationship, that you can feel the pride beaming off of John and the connection even when you just see them together. These are life-changing, self-affirming relationships. And they work. The research shows you can go to the Office of Juvenile Justice, the CDC, Department of Education, the World Bank. The list goes on and on. Mentoring with Big Brothers Big Sisters improves behavioral, social, emotional outcomes. There's less depression and social anxiety, higher self-efficacy, self-esteem, and confidence, improved parental trust. Widows are less likely to skip school, and they engage in positive behaviors, including avoiding higher rates of avoiding drug and alcohol use, criminal activity, stronger academic competence, and a greater likelihood of post-secondary attendance, and that's in particular among racial and ethnic groups. Studies show that mentoring has a 5-to-1 ROI, right? When you think about the benefit that comes back to the community in terms of improved outcomes, better health, and earning over the life of that individual that is mentored, right? And so you can see how this funding in our workforce development, in our college and career readiness programs continues that work. Right, it goes towards post-secondary training and college access. So we're talking about what we've mentioned, right? The tours, helps with applications and financial aid, retention support. It's around the exploration, right? Exactly to the point that it's not just a job, right? We're talking about lifetime fulfillment, fulfilling dreams, job shadowing, internships, career nights with employers. Through that is a number of partnerships that we're able to create with high schools, colleges, employers, again, focused on leadership, workforce readiness, STEM, which has come up a number of times today, post-secondary success in general, and also access to scholarships. So we want to make sure that, again, as we have this responsibility, this accountability, that we are providing that support. Across our agencies, across the Minnesota agencies, we serve 4,000 youth. That's what we did last year. 1,700 of them are touched by this post-secondary and career readiness program. Through our brand, right, we are a nationally known brand. There's probably bigs and littles in this room. We know of some and maybe more that experience that. We can leverage that national brand to also create greater collaboration and partner with organizations like you met today, as well as academic and employer organizations in our community. Think the Best Buys, General Mills, Cargill, Zurichs, right? Some of the U of M, St. Cloud State, St. Thomas, St. Ben's. The list goes on and on. Through those partnerships, we can clearly further collaborate around that work. We want to absolutely speak to our request that we are looking at additional funding, right? And where will that funding go? First and foremost, our CCR work, our Big Futures work, is underfunded. We use funding from our other programs to fund it. So we are already in a deficit, knowing that demand is increasing. But we are expanding. We're going to take this program to a lower age. So starting that exploration earlier, right? Creating that interest, again, really exposing, because we know that opportunities and awareness and access isn't presented in equitable ways. We want to increase the paths that we go down. So we talked about STEM, we talked about arts, we talked about other career opportunities, as well as looking beyond just 4-year schools, right? 2-year schools. We're talking about trade schools, apprenticeships. We want to make sure that we are really thorough in all the paths of success, and they are aligned to the needs of the community, and most importantly, the needs of the youth. In addition to that, prices have gone up, right? Everything is more expensive. The cost of mentoring is more expensive. In providing the exact same service, it costs more. But even more so, when we think about this time, this opportune time in this community, right? This community of unrest, and I think we all know the massive racial disparities that exist around our educational and academic opportunities, this is the time to create that investment in the continual growth in our mission towards justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. 87% of our youth at Big Brothers Big Sisters Twin Cities are Black, Indigenous, people of color. 83% are on free or reduced lunch. Now, with that said, we all know that all youth have incredible potential, every single one of them, but we also know that opportunities are not presented in an equitable manner. Everyone gets it here. This grant is an investment in our youth, right? And so when we think about more prepared youth, more prepared young people, we're talking about stronger families. We're talking about more connected and safer communities, and ultimately a more skilled, diverse, and inclusive workforce that ultimately drives greater economic activity in our state for all of us. This is directly connected to all of us. So on behalf of the thousands of youth that we work with each year, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sucombe. Discussion. See, Representative Harder.
Thank you, Chair Zhang. Thank you for the information. Many years ago, I was a mentor to a young gal who was developmentally disabled, and it was a great experience. I guess my question, have you thought about expanding into other counties? Is there an opportunity? I know a number of people that are juvenile probation officers who could see this as an avenue to help young people lead better lives by having better role models. And so I'm just curious, have you thought about that?
Ms. Stockton.
For our program in central Minnesota, we are expanding. We recently expanded to Holdingford, which is very rural and has very little opportunity and growth of it there. And we are looking at a 5-year growth plan of our territory goes up to Elk River, Monticello, Buffalo, and then picking up Morrison County, we can go further north as well. So yes, the demand for Big Brothers Big Sisters is by far greater than what we are meeting, and as we continue to gain more support, we're able to grow. But we also have to do it very thoughtfully because of sustainability. We don't want to go into a community and start some matches and then a few years later have to leave that community because that severed relationship would be harder on that child than not ever being there in the first place, and studies have shown that.
Representative Harder.
Thank you, that's all.
Representative Sencer-Mura, closing statement.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think just again, I want to emphasize, I think something this program does really uniquely is kind of pairing the career exploration, especially for, young ages, with the really deep relationships. I know multiple people who have been littles or bigs, and almost all of them have been in each other's weddings, right? So I think that just kind of speaks to the depth of this kind of relationship. And we know that we need to expand opportunities for young people, but I think that expansion needs to be met with really solid relationships that can help be that kind of push, that nudge to say, try something different, see yourself in a place that you might not see yourself. And so I think this work is incredibly important. I look forward to continued conversations about how we can support this organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Sencer-Mura, for carrying this bill. I've had the opportunity of carrying the last 2 biennials and toured the facilities. I know the great work that you are doing, so thank you for being here today. Representative Sencer-Mura will renew her motion that House File 711 be laid over for possible inclusion. Seeing no further business before the committee, we are adjourned.
All right.